All right, signed, sealed, all but done right now. It's going to be going to the governor's desk. The assembly in Wisconsin has gone ahead and passed what public workers in the state have been calling a union-busting measure that weakens collective bargaining and puts them on the wrong side. Nevertheless, we are expecting to see the governor, Scott Walker, probably sign that as soon as this hour. We'll see. Reaction now from Republican Congresswoman of South Dakota, Kristi Noem. Obviously, the governor is cracking down in that state. Congresswoman, how do you feel about this whole measure, this whole movement?
Well, I think it's been interesting to watch the process happen there in Wisconsin, and we're certainly know that there's other states that are discussing this, and that's the great thing about being states and having states having rights to tackle these issues and do what the people there think is necessary.
All right. The argument from some of these public workers, as you've heard, Congresswoman, is they don't believe this is in the people's interest and that this is a case of a governor and a party going too far. What do you say?
Well, they elected that party, and that party is certainly making the decisions, and so I think they'll have the opportunity to work during the next election to let them know how they feel.
All right, but Congresswoman, it comes at a time where they seem to be making progress in states like Wisconsin, Ohio, to a degree Florida, New Jersey, on getting spending under control. Whatever the controversy is about how they're getting under control, where Washington just dithers, and that you and your colleagues are having a tough enough time agreeing on a temporary measure to keep the government going 2 weeks at a time. What gives?
Well, it's not necessarily our party or my colleagues in the House. We've certainly sent solutions over to the Senate, and we're waiting for the Senate and the President to come to the table and make sure that we finish fiscal year 2011 by addressing our spending problems. That's a good beginning before we start on our budget.
But they don't even have that beginning, right? I mean, you're billions apart, but it's relative chump change in a $1.5 trillion deficit. But would you vote for another 2-week extension? I mean, the argument has been made, just keep limping along $4-6 billion cuts each 2 weeks. At least it's cuts. At least it gets us down. Are you for that?
Yeah, Neil, I came here to cut spending, and so I'm going to vote for something that cuts spending, and I'm going to keep pushing farther and farther and farther because we need to. When you look at February's deficit spending alone and the fact that it was larger than what our total deficit spending was in 2007, the proposals that the Senate is sending us simply are ridiculous because it's not even a solution. It doesn't address the amount of spending that we will have in a week's time. We need to get serious.
All right, so when I have people like Rand Paul on, Congresswoman, who say he would never vote for such an extension again because he thinks it's just dilly-dallying, how do you feel?
I feel like we absolutely need to cut spending. I'm going to take every opportunity to do that and to push it to as responsibly as we can and to make sure that we continue down that path.
Congresswoman, thank you very much. Very good seeing you.
Yeah, good to see you too, Neil.